Hi guys! Welcome to my first video. I hope you're all doing well. As a quick aside, you can tell probably that this is a Twitch VOD, so I hope you enjoy my strange facial expressions flitting across the screen. Today I wanted to talk about something that I've had on my mind recently, which is monetizing your creations or monetizing your creativity. Since this is my very first time doing something like this, I hope it helps someone, and I would also welcome any constructive criticism that will make my videos more enjoyable in the future. So I guess a little backstory about me is in order. I'm a small business owner and a digital artist. I've been drawing since I was really young, and I've started my own business in late 2020. My art style and motivation for drawing has fluctuated quite a bit since I was younger, but I still enjoy it so much that I'll draw for pretty much hours on end daily with little to no discomfort. Now that the backstory is out of the way, let's get into it. First things first, I'm not here to tell anyone what to do or to give any expert advice. I suppose I'm considered a professional, technically, since I do make my main living from commissions and from my business, but I definitely don't have any sort of accreditation on this topic. This is just my own experience from monetizing my creations and some observations from social media. The first thing I can think of when I think about monetizing your creativity is that it's seen as kind of a negative thing. I've seen a lot of posts that say things like, you don't need to monetize your work, or stop acting like every hobby is a hustle. It's seen as something that is difficult, that people can fall out of love with their work, and that people can burn out extremely from monetizing their creativity and so on. I personally have not really experienced this type of burnout. I do experience frustration and some burnout to a degree, but I've never really felt it as such an extreme level that I wanted to stop drawing or to stop making products for my store. I think the most extreme burnout I've ever felt was during college, when I was getting my 4-year degree in a subject that I didn't really vibe with anymore. To me, that feeling of extreme burnout wasn't so much of a feeling of I need to take it slow or take a break. It was more of a big red flag that was saying, this isn't what you want to do. Maybe you should stop. I didn't stop, and I did get my degree eventually, but it was not a good time. College aside, I think that everyone is inherently different. Let's say your comfortable workload is like a bucket or a bowl, and things that you work on are like candy or maybe strawberries. My bucket might be able to hold more or less candy than yours, but it overflows eventually and will experience burnout or frustration at different levels. This doesn't mean that you're weaker or stronger than someone else. You just don't experience the same level of, okay, I need to do something else right now. We could get into things like amount of focus or what tasks you're trying to do or overloading yourself, but I think I want to keep it more simple. Long story short is, of course, you can get frustrated and you can be demotivated by only monetizing your creations, only creating for monetary gain, especially if you aren't really getting any positive feedback from your audience. That positive feedback and support really goes a long way to motivate you via external means to keep creating things that others enjoy, not something that you might just enjoy. Some people just want to create for fun, and monetizing this is a massive chore, and that's okay. As long as you aren't pushing yourself too hard and that you're having fun, you just do you. Regardless of your situation, just listen to yourself and build your workflow or lack of workflow around your needs. I definitely don't think that every work needs to be monetized, and to keep your sanity, I definitely recommend that you draw for yourself as much as you can, or at least occasionally. I found that balancing my personal work, like weird niche fan art, meme drawings, experimental work, with monetary or marketable creativity, for me, this is making my chokers, my products, pouring my resin charms, designing prints, etc. This is extremely important. Fortunately for me, a lot of these things overlap. I enjoy drawing aesthetic or cute things, and for me, it isn't that big of a deal to maybe draw something on a 5x7 canvas and maybe work up the courage to slap that into my print store. Please take all of this with a grain of salt, though. I'm a self-confessed workaholic, and I love taking long hours and long days to make things for my store. I really get a lot of positive internal enjoyment and a sense of accomplishment from creating things that people want to purchase, or at least sharing things that other people might like. So briefly, I'd like to touch on some theories and kind of explain these types of motivations that I've touched on. These motivations are intrinsic or internal and extrinsic, which is external. The degree I mentioned before that I wasn't having a good time with was my 4-year degree in psychology. I still absolutely adore the study of psychology, and I pursue a lot of the theories and I research a lot of the theories to this day. I just wasn't a big fan of all the relentless studying and paper writing and got really badly burnt out due to the massive pileup of busy work that just goes into college in general. There's a branch of psychology called Motivational Psychology that I found incredibly interesting when I was in school. In fact, it was one of the last classes I took, so at least I ended on a positive note, right? Motivational psychology states that there are 2 types of motivators: intrinsic, which is internal, and extrinsic, which is external. Examples of intrinsic motivation are felt from within. They come from you. These could be things like feeling accomplished, feelings of worthiness, feelings of enjoyment, and so on. You enjoy this task, so it motivates you to continue it or to keep doing a similar sort of task. External motivation is everything else. These are all external or outside motivations. Things like money, people giving you attention, or receiving perks or other sort of rewards. These are basically things that you can physically hold in your hands or that affect you on a more physical level. I'm going to paraphrase from Intrinsic and Extrinsic Motivation by Roland Bonobo and Jean Triol. This is from the Princeton University and Institute for Advanced Study. I'll post a link to the PDF in the description if you're curious and if you like reading textbooks. Basically, there's some studies that have been replicated over and over. In these studies, there are 2 groups. Both groups are assigned to interact with an interesting puzzle, in quotation marks, for a set amount of time. Group A, we'll call them the unpaid group, and Group B, the paid group, are both tasked with playing with this puzzle for a set amount of time. Both groups are also afforded a set amount of free time where they don't necessarily have to play with this puzzle or do anything tasked to them. They can basically just loaf about or do anything. The results of these studies were that the unpaid group played with the puzzle even during their set free time when they didn't even have to play with it. The paid group used their free time to do something else, and thus they played with the puzzle less. The unpaid group also reported saying that they felt more interest in the puzzle than the paid group. So what exactly can we infer from this? And how can we apply this to monetizing your creativity? Well, in my humble opinion, these studies imply to me that intrinsic motivation is key to creative enjoyment, and is also key to task completion and growth in general. Let's say you're drawing something because you love it. You love this thing, so you're motivated to do your best to finish the piece, and you feel great while you're doing it, even if it might be a little bit challenging. Even if you receive no money or other reward. Doing something solely for the external benefit, however, and having no intrinsic motivator, it sounds like a job to me. It sounds like work. This is coming from someone who's had a few jobs where I reluctantly smiled and talked to people when I literally just wanted to go home and play video games and draw or something like that. I didn't want to be there. I didn't want to smile and talk to strangers, but I did need and I did want the money, so I stayed. Did I do the best job? I guess, but only so I didn't get fired. So in conclusion, and yes, now I'm treating this whole entire thing like an essay, I'm sorry. I believe you need a good balance of both intrinsic and extrinsic motivation to successfully, in air quotes, because that's a little subjective, monetize your creativity. You need to be doing something you would and will be doing for free. If you're only drawing some fan art for something that you don't really like, for money or for clout, and you end up receiving none of those things or too little of those things, I mean, I would feel pretty frustrated and feel like I wasted my time. On the other hand, if I was drawing fan art for something that I loved, and I still received no clout or not really any money, at least I had fun while drawing it. At least I received something positive from the experience. I learned something, I expressed my love for the media, and I shared it with people who hopefully enjoy it too. And even if they didn't, that's fine because I have my intrinsic motivation and you cannot take that away from me. I literally just realized this was a really long way of saying, yeah, I'm cringe, but at least I'm free. So anyway, I think I'm going to wrap this up now. Please leave your thoughts below and have a wonderful day. Bye bye.